So I'm not sure if my original question that I had planned to come here with is pertinent so much. I mean,
No,
I had a lot of...
You planned to be here, but what was behind that question? Something deeper behind the question is...
Cutting out as much of the storyline as possible. It feels like my life sort of has a meltdown every 20 years. And so one of those just happened last week, Thursday. But this one is very different in that I experienced the loss of the thing that came into my life to make the growth of the changes that I am at now. And that whole period was absolutely profound, full of trials and tribulations and learning and healing and completely unfolding to who and what I am now.
A few days ago, we were talking to someone who was talking about something to do with her career. And she used the term vehicle. And we took the opportunity of the vehicle, the word vehicle, to explain or to offer an analogy. Imagine that you're moving along in a vehicle, 20 years you've been in it, let's say, and then another vehicle pulls up alongside and you realize that this vehicle got you to that vehicle, and now that vehicle has something even more to offer. So you just step out of one and into the other and off you go. Take whatever ride and then step out of that vehicle and into another and off you go. And then take whatever ride and step out of that vehicle and step into another and off you go. And if you can trust that, first of all, there's always going to be another one. And
what if it's made of vapor? My new vehicle seems to be made of vapor. And I think you guys are driving. That's sort of how it feels. And so, I guess the real question is...
Well, you know why it feels like it's made out of vapor? Because you're trying to use your physical eyes to examine it. And your physical eyes are not enough in tune with it to translate it into things that are tangible. We think that's a really profound, really profound, fun thing that you gave back to us about it. It seems like it is intangible or made of vapor or whatever, but
it's okay.
Because everything that we're talking about here is turning this vapor, this vibration, to thoughts, to things. And so there's always that less able to articulate it or understand it, period, as things are in the state of becoming. And a wise creator knows that, doesn't fight against it, and accepts it for what it is and lets it be what it is until it becomes something that is more expressible.
So what I'm feeling now is because after being here last February, I really started focusing more on meditation and things started to open up for me. And by opening up, I mean, all of these things cleaning out where I've got so much more calmness within me.
You're leaving unnecessary resistance behind.
Yes, more and more and more. And I think that is what has led to this, last week's Thursday's meltdown. But it wasn't a meltdown. It was an opening. But it's a huge life-changing event, but an opening. Most people would perceive it as a meltdown, but I didn't.
Well, most people perceive all change as inappropriate. Most people want to find a vehicle and they want to ride that vehicle forever and ever and ever and ever. And they feel guilty about ever wanting anything beyond it. And that's why we want to demonstrate that there's another and 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 another. And when you know that, then you don't have a meltdown when you move from one to the other. But if you've believed that this is the one you're supposed to ride forever and ever and ever and ever, and then for whatever reason, then you have a sort of meltdown because there's that momentary feeling of insecurity that is unnecessary.
Okay, yeah. So now what I'm having is sort of like, I feel like I'm in this midway transition phase of having those worrying things and then no, It'll all be okay.
If you heard us as we've been talking here today, don't look for any answer or any direction right now, this red hot minute. Just step back and settle in to the newness of the way that it feels, and trust that as you can bring yourself to a place of finding satisfaction and eventually a sort of feeling of security within where you're standing, more of the details will fill in for you. Don't look for answers that you're not yet ready to translate.
So as I'm going through these days,
use softer words. You're not going through these days.
Oh, I feel soft about it. I guess my inner being hasn't caught up with my verbal expression yet.
Here's the thing. We hear your words and we read your vibration, and when they don't jive, we call you out on it.
Oh, okay. That's something for me to look at.
Your words are really telling. When you say, I'm going through something, as I'm going through these days, it sounds more difficult than your inner being feels.
Yeah, and I guess I should say, as these days go by, as I live each day.
As I receive the benefit of each passing day or each day in the moment, and feel how that resonates more with what your inner being means about it. So we interrupted you, but not unnecessarily.
No, not unnecessarily.
So where were you headed?
I guess there has to be some catching up with what I'm seeing, like you're saying, and what I'm feeling on my inner self, because there's a part of me that's going, just let the opening happen.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's going, but should I do this?
That part's
Should I
not
do
so
that?
wise. Well, you said there's a part of me that says there's an opening. We said that part's really wise. And you said then there's a part of me, and we said that part's not so wise. Part's not so wise. Just talk yourself off the ledge.
I guess, I'm trying to maybe use you like a psychic. Am I on the right path? Am I doing it right? Which I'm not sure that that's appropriate, but here we are.
Why would we interfere with your ability to get in touch with your own guidance?
Exactly.
Yes, you're on the right path.
Exactly. I'm on the right path. Great.
You're on the right path, and sometimes you're not. And the better you feel, the more in the moment you're on the path, and the worse you feel, the more you're not. But here's the most important thing about that path. What is the path? What is my path? What is the path? What are we talking about? We're talking about you've already, as you said, made a plan. You've made a plan because you've been emanating vibrational responses to life based upon your desire to feel good and move forward and fulfill your reason for being. And so you've launched all of these rockets, and you've created a path that your inner being is focused upon and is shining a light on too. So there is a path, and we want to call it the path is the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is the path that leads to the things that you've created, to who you really are and the things that you've created. You can tell that you're on that path in any moment in time because it feels fun, or it feels like a good idea. It feels interesting to you. And you can feel when you're not on the path because you're worried or trying to fix something or trying to figure something out or trying too hard or blowing out your regulators. You're not on the path when you feel dis-ease, and you're on the path when you feel ease. You're not on the path when you feel anger, and you are on the path when you feel love. If you can let the path for just a little while, not try to make it a visual thing that you see. Let it be something that you feel. So, I feel good. Felt good to make the decision to come and see Abraham. That felt good. Felt good to think the thoughts I was thinking. Felt good to light up in a way that Abraham called me forward. Feels good to have this clarification. Doesn't feel good to not know exactly what to do next. Don't need to know what to do next. That feels better. In other words, just kind of feel your way along. Feel your way along. Don't be so afraid to make a mistake. Don't try to fit in with the world that is confused. Know that your inner being knows your path. And then you show yourself what it feels like when you are in this moment on the path. And then string as many of those in this moment on the path moments together as you can. But most important, when you find yourself in a moment when you're pretty sure you're not on the path because you don't feel good, don't beat up on yourself for not being on the path, because that throws you really off the path. Instead, say, oh, this is good. It's good to know when I'm on the path and when I'm not on the path. Esther loves those little bumps along the edge of the road, because every now and again when she's sort of lazy in her driving and she gets over there a little bit, she doesn't have a meltdown. Oh my God, What was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. I'm not a good driver. I can't control my car. I don't know what to do. My car's out of control. I don't know what to do. You know what to do? Get off the rumble strips.
So I have one more question. As I've been meditating, sometimes when I'm going through life, suddenly I will just start feeling this feeling mainly across my arms and chest, and it's not really a tingle as much as it is sort of a lightening of everything. Like
what it is your conscious awareness of your inner being's expression in your body. It's you feeling the moment through the eyes of Source. And that's the feeling that we were encouraging you to find in meditation. And when you find it in your waking state or your moving state, even better.
And my head starts to do this bobbing thing, like I'm saying yes, but it's uncontrolling. That's the inner being.
You're tuned in. And then put some emotional description around it. It feels really good. I feel clarity. I feel well-being. I feel all is wellness. I feel confidence. I really feel secure. I feel an eagerness. In other words, let yourself sort of milk that moment so that you consciously acknowledge it. That's how you bridge beliefs. That's how you come to own that feeling. And the more of those moments you have, then the more that's who you are, until you've got that stability all the time, no matter what's going on around you. So you don't need outside environment to behave in a certain way, because you've got your internal alignment that is holding you steady under all conditions.
So then when I'm in that state, then all of those things that I've put into the vortex, all of those desires, then those will just sort of automatically be revealed to me as to what direction I go.
All of those things are already being revealed to you. The revelations are happening all day, every day. The realization is more likely when you feel like that. The revelation is always happening. Your inner being always knows what your path of least resistance is and is revealing it. But when you feel like that, or when you feel happy or frisky or you're having fun or any other number of things that indicate alignment, now you are in a state where you are more likely to realize. You receive the impulse and you offer it. But we don't want you to turn this into some rigid study of how to tune in and therefore behave, because you really are not puppets. We just want you to realize that when you get tuned in, the impulses take you to more and more open places. These are the words we would like you to hear. The more fun you're having, the more on your path you are. The more fun you're having, the more love you're having. And so don't complicate it by trying to isolate it and all of that. That is a good thing to do in meditation. But you see, in meditation, you're not driving a car. You're not even trying to walk down the street. In meditation, you really can let your physical faculties just be not active while you allow your inner vision to be dominant. After a while, you'll get so good at this that your inner vision will mesh so perfectly with your physical. That's what is happening to Esther in this moment. In this moment, Esther is fully inhabited by non-physical energy who are calling all the shots about the movement of her physical body. In other words, everything that is happening here, every movement, the way we're stretching her muscles, everything that we're doing is in our desire to communicate with you, is we're offering it, and Esther is in a state of allowing it to be. But there isn't anything that is outside the things that she usually does. We're not flying around the room. We're not suspending in the air. We're offering impulses, and Esther is translating them in this comfortable way. And you all are too. Athletes do that all day, every day. As they use the things that they've practiced and their belief in their ability to hit the basket or receive the pass or whatever it is, depending on the sport, when they get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so that they allow their inner being to utilize their well-practiced vessel, then they have really good timing and intuition. They can sense what's happening with the rest of the minds that are going on. But it is a rare moment in time when a basketball team or a football team or a soccer team or any group of people are all so in sync with their inner being that they are operating from one mind. When they do that, and you see it in moments in time, you see a sequence of events where it is as if they are all operating from one mind. And the people on the team are the individual components that are receiving the impulse at the perfect time. But usually it is some other form of chaos where they're also individual, that they are just doing their best not to get in each other's way. And then every now and again, there'll be some superstar that hooks up with source energy and does amazing things, but he usually does not involve the rest of his team because he doesn't find them cooperative components very much of the time. Getting tuned in is a wonderful thing. So in the beginning, don't worry about the other cooperative components. You just focus upon how well integrated you are with your own inner being.